What would make someone with OI choose to have a leg amputated? Well, we're going to find out in this episode of the OILife Spotlight, where we're spreading awareness, gaining acceptance, and sharing the awesomeness that is OI. What's going on? I am Tony Jacobson, proud member of the OI community, adaptive fitness specialist, and creator of OILife. And today, I'm shining the spotlight on someone truly special from our community, Rachael Roth. Now, Rachael is an OIer who made the choice to have a below-the-knee amputation. In this conversation, she's opening up about what led her to that choice, how it's impacted her life, and what the journey has been like, physically, emotionally, and mentally. Now, this is the kind of story that breaks stigma and builds connection, and I'm so glad she's willing to talk about it with us. So let's get into it. Hey, Rachael, what's going on? Thank you for being here. And thank you so much for being in the spotlight to really share your story with us. How are you feeling about the interview today?
A little nervous. I've never done anything like this before, but I'm ready to go.
This is amazing. I'm so glad that that I'm your first here and that OILife is the first for your interview. You never know. This could be the start of something magical for you. So it's really, really good. I'm so happy to have you here to kind of share your story. So for those that don't know you yet and that are watching this interview, tell us a little bit about yourself. Where are you from? What type of OI do you have? And yeah, let's start with that.
Hi, my name is Rachael, and I am 46. I have type 4 OI, and I live in Topeka, Kansas. I have been here my entire life.
Nice. Oh my gosh, your entire life. So you've never lived anywhere else?
Yeah.
Wow. Have you ever wanted to live somewhere else?
Yeah.
No?
Yes. But no, circumstances and, family, and I've built a good team of doctors and don't really want to get away from that.
That's important. That's important. So let's talk about how OI has affected your mobility throughout your life. So if you want to give a little bit of history of your OI, how many breaks you've had. Oh, wait, hold on. I got to do your Fabulous Four. We got to do the Fabulous Four. I don't know how I forgot that. So we're going to talk about your OI Fabulous Four. You already told us your type. And we need to know how many breaks have you had? How many fractures? How many surgeries have you had? And then do you have any hardware? That's the OI Fab 4. So we already know your type. That's one. So give us the other three.
So break-wise, fracture-wise, honestly, I don't know. I don't keep track. I would say somewhere between 75 and 100.
Okay. That's a good number.
But don't totally quote me on that because I could be wrong.
Right.
Surgeries, I have had. Are we counting how many times I've been put to sleep to set a bone?
Absolutely.
Then I have no
idea. Okay, what if it wasn't counting those?
1, 2, 3. It's between 15 and 20.
Okay. Good. We're about the same. I'm about 75 fractures around there, 12 surgeries. Okay. Yeah. And hardware, what hardware do you have any pins, rods?
I've got lots of hardware. I have both femurs have rods, and my right femur also has a bunch of pins. My left tibia still has a bunch of hardware in there. We have some new stuff too to keep it strong. And my spine is fused with Harrington rods. That was done back in like 89 at the Shriners in St. Louis.
Wow. Okay. So you're hooked up. You've got some good hardware. Yeah. Nice. So tell us then, how has OI and everything that you've just described to us with the hardware and the surgeries, how's it affected your mobility and your daily life in general, kind of through the years? And everything kind of leading up to this this decision that you made to have this amputation done?
So when I was a child, with OI, there are a lot of fractures and hospitalizations, surgeries, things like that. My very first actual surgery that was not just putting me to sleep to set the bone was done when I was 8. And so that would have been in 1987. And they put rods in my left femur and tibia because my left leg was my worst leg. And that was my bad leg. And when I came out of surgery, I had they discovered I had a limb length discrepancy. And as I healed and as the next few years went on, we started to notice that my left leg was not growing in tandem with my right any longer. And the doctors decided that my growth plates had been nicked during the surgery to straighten my leg. And so I ended up as an adult with a limb length discrepancy of about 8-ish inches. And I used a orthotic shoe lift to walk. And my orthopedist has always said that I kind of used that orthotic as a prosthesis because without it, I couldn't walk.
So you had that for pretty much most of your life then with this leg length discrepancy. Say that 5 times fast. Oh my gosh.
Leg length discrepancy.
Leg length discrepancy. So can you kind of walk us through then the period when things for you started to change as far as your mobility, and when you began to seriously consider this amputation as an option?
So I had, because I guess back up a little bit, because of my orthotic shoe lift, because of how large it was and how small my tibia and fibula were, I had a tendency to step wrong. Like if I stepped on a pebble or grass or something, and I would step wrong and fall and fracture either my foot, my ankle, or my tibia. I had 3 separate serious fractures with the tibia where I bent the hardware. And so it had to be taken out. New hardware had to be put in. And it was, I would say, about 2014 when my orthopedist said, the next time this happens, we're going to have to amputate because it's not strong enough for me to repair anymore. And, I heard him, but I didn't really hear him. If you get what I'm saying, that's a really hard thing to hear and accept. It's a really long process. So, I said, well, let's just do whatever we can to keep me walking. And he's such a great guy. He's a brilliant orthopedist. I've had him on my team for 25 years. So he knows how important walking is to me and being independent, even more so. And so he fought with me up until I finally said, okay, we're done.
Mm-hmm. So kind of leading up to that, it is a big decision. It's a huge decision. So, what was going on for you? What was going through your mind emotionally, kind of like as you approached it, getting to that decision?
So I was in a ton of chronic pain. It was off the charts on a daily basis. And because of that, I, saw pain management specialists on medications to try and temper that pain. Obviously, realizing that it's not going to go away, but, you know, try to get me to be able to make it through the day. And I'm trying to think, I think it was late 2019, I finally had said, okay, this is enough. I'm tired of this. Let's talk to him and see what he really means, what his ideas are about amputation. And so I met with him, and he went over, you know, what he wanted to do, what he thought would be best. And so we planned to do it the following April of 2020.
Oh, yeah.
Which, yeah, I was not going anywhere near a hospital in April of 2020.
Yeah.
So we canceled it. And during the height of COVID, I had kind of convinced myself that maybe I didn't need that surgery, you know, that maybe I could make it through and tough it out. Like those of us in the OI community were really familiar with just sucking it up and toughing it out and doing what we have to do to make it through the day. And I went on a family vacation in 2023. We went on a couple, and I was not able to participate in any of the ways really that I wanted to. I was exhausted the entire time, and it was like I hit a wall, and there was fight left, you know, logically, but it just physically, it didn't feel like I had any left. And so I called him and I said, here I am again. What do you think? And he said, come in and meet with me. And we did. And he went over everything and we scheduled it.
Wow. That's great. Yeah. I mean, that final kind of breaking point over that summer, right? Where you're just like, this is it. I mean, that was the moment when you knew kind of this was the right thing to do for you, right?
Yeah, it kind of felt like, you know, on one hand, like I don't really have a choice, right? You know, you want to be able to have a quality of living, a quality of life that is, you know, meaningful and not just hiding out at home because you're in so much pain. And I was not participating. We had also, my first grandson was born in 2023. And I wanted to be able to fully participate in his life, knowing that, you know, there were going to be the toddler years and everything after that. And where I was at, it wasn't going to happen. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Just wanting to be involved in life and have better quality of life totally makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
And, you know, get rid of some of the pain because a lot of my pain was emanating from tibia, ankle, and foot. And when I say ankle, I didn't actually have an ankle left. It had been destroyed. And my foot had so much hardware in it that, I mean, like you couldn't really even see a foot. All you saw was hardware on x-rays.
Who's your orthopedic doctor?
Dr. Greg Horton at University of Kansas Medical Center in Kansas City, Kansas.
Gotcha.
He's brilliant.
So you met with your doctor, you went over the plan again, kind of talk to us a little bit about, the surgery wasn't going to happen like the next day. It was going to be a few months probably between that time when you made the choice and then when it was surgery time. So kind of talk us through, what you went through once you made that choice. What were the steps that you took? Were there other OIers that you were able to talk to? Was there resources for you? What was that journey just between when you made the choice and before you had the surgery?
So part of me, I did leave that part out. Part of me making that choice, I had started going to psychotherapy in March of 2023 for a multitude of reasons, but also, dealing with a chronic illness, one that I've had my entire life. Sometimes it all just builds up and you don't know how to deal with it. So I did therapy, and through therapy, and also with the support of my family, who have all been really supportive. Also, nervous, etc., on this journey, but really supportive of me. I, made the call and sat down with him, with Horton. And it was really, he and I had this conversation a couple times before, right? So we were kind of just rehashing. He's worked with me long enough that he knows about my anxiety levels, and he knows how I'm going to cry and be upset. And, he just went through it with me, and showed me on my leg where he would want to make the cut, and explained why he would want to make it there. I, of course, had lots of questions because that's who I am. I'm the person who asks all the questions, and sometimes it does annoy others because I am such a question-oriented
No, but
person.
it's good. It's good. You have to ask the questions. And for everybody watching, you make sure you ask every question you can.
Yeah.
Whenever you're dealing with any medical, that's part of our responsibility as OIers to make sure that we're asking the questions that we need to ask.
Yeah, it's your responsibility to advocate for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And for a really long time, I didn't know how to do that. And I really think that a big part of helping me to learn about that was connecting with my OI community through social media, and just seeing how other people with OI were living their lives, and learning about advocacy, the things that they did for themselves and to help others. So I always show up with a list of questions, and, I deviate from the list, obviously, because I forget things. So, there I am with my 50 questions, and I ask them all. Horton is, he's always been very kind to me, very empathetic, gives me time, to figure out what I'm feeling, where I am in the situation. And, it's always been my call.
Yeah. Yeah.
It always has been. He's always, unless there was always that bit in the background where if I do fracture the tibia, and I break that hardware again, then I don't get to make the call anymore, right? We don't get to decide where the cut is made. Mm-hmm. So me being proactive and working on myself through therapy, going through the emotions, I was able to, like I said, be proactive in the surgery phase, and not just showing up at the emergency room, right? Hoping that my doctor is around and available to take care of this for me.
Yeah, I think that's very key here is the proactiveness that you're talking about. I think that that's important for us as OIers. Anybody with a chronic condition, with a disability such as ours, I think it's so important because the fractures can happen so spontaneously, so accidentally, right? We never know, right? So I think being proactive, I'm very much about being proactive with my health, exercising, making sure, because, that's the whole point. We want to make sure if I do fall, I'm not going to break something. That's my goal, right? So I think this idea of being proactive with our health is so important. And it was great that you were able to do that with this huge decision. Because it's not something, it's not a small choice. So it's very big. So just the fact that you were able to be proactive and with that mindset is very key. So again, everybody watching, listening, always make your health priority and be proactive with your health. So that's very good. So when you, and I know you were coming to the OILife group too, which was great because, you were able to connect with a lot of folks through OILife group, and we shared your story in there, and a lot of people were very supportive. So it was really cool to kind of really have you come into the fold more within the community and see you do more of that. So it was really cool. So as you were kind of going through that time, how many months was it before you had your surgery? Like from when you said, okay, I'm going to do this until the actual time?
let's see. Trying to think. 4, so about 9-10 months.
Yeah.
Because the trips that we made were in the summer of 23, and my surgery was April 22nd of 2024.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's
And
quite a time. That's quite a time
Yeah.
to wait through that. And were there any points during those months where you didn't want to do it, where you were like, I'm not sure about this?
All the time.
Yeah.
Like I met with Horton. I would call and leave messages. I would send my chart messages. I met with Hangar, who I had worked with, Hangar Orthotics and Prosthetics. I had worked with them for 25 years. They always built my orthotic shoe lift. And so I was transitioning from orthotics to prosthetics. I met with them. We went over everything. They gave me a sort of mentor. Her name is Micah, and she was brilliant. They let me kind of, I guess, kind of be in charge of it a little bit, within like the control that I have. But, when I was scared, when I had questions, the office in Kansas City, Kansas has just been brilliant at Hangar. They've taken really good care of me for a very long time. I've been really lucky. But I also preface that with the fact that it took me a long time to build a brilliant medical team, and I had to fight for it.
Yeah, that's another key point, to remember to really pay attention to the team that you're putting together, and take your time, find the right folks, find the right doctors. Not everybody is lucky enough to have, the empathetic doctors. So it does take time, and it could take a few. Don't lose hope, though. That's the big deal. Don't lose hope. There is a doctor out there, and there's a team of doctors that are really willing to help you, that want to learn about you, that want to learn about this, about OI. And so just keep looking, keep making the connections and building the network so you can put your team together. So
and don't be afraid to reach out, right? Don't be afraid to reach out. Maybe you don't know, actually personally know someone with OI, but you've maybe heard a little bit about them or something they're going through. I didn't know you, Tony.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And you have to be brave.
Yeah.
And we know all about that, right? We already do. We already know how to be brave.
Yeah. And I think that's the resilience that we have. We don't sometimes recognize the resilience that we've built because we're just kind of living our life, but we don't realize, oh no, I've been through it. I've been through some challenges and overcome them. So we all have that. We all have that ability. Yeah. So it's so cool. It's so good to hear that this company, what's it called? Hangar, right?
Hangar. Yes.
So did you immediately get connected with them as soon as you made this choice? Did the doctors say, okay, here, go talk to these folks because they're going to set you up? Was it that sort of thing, or did you have to find them too?
So I was already connected with them because of my orthotic shoe lift.
Okay.
So I was familiar with the office, but my orthopedist was like, you should probably go talk to them and see what they say. Like I would ask him questions and he would say, that's a question for Hangar.
Right. Yeah.
And so I went and I had, I want to say it was probably a 2-hour appointment with them and just sat down and, went through it all.
Yeah, that's so good because it was being proactive, just leading up to it, getting as much information as you can, having someone kind of guide you through the process to let you know how this is going to go down. I mean, it just helps to alleviate some of that stress that's involved with it. So that's so good that you had that lead up time.
And I also did some physical therapy for a couple months before trying to strengthen my right leg, my good leg. because I knew that it would be the workhorse during my recovery.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Let's just point out real quick. I know everybody listening that has OI, raise your hand if you've got the good leg. Right. Everybody's raising their hand right now. I think that's a term that we all have. We all have that. When you say to any OIer, oh, which one is your good leg? Right? We all have it. My right is my good leg. So it's the same thing. It's so funny. That's such a great thing. I just kind of realized that. That's funny. So as you were coming up to the surgery, let's talk about the actual kind of experience of the surgery for you. So, what was the experience like actually going through the surgery?
So, because of all of the questions that I like to ask, right? I asked Dr. Horton, how long do you think I'll be in the hospital? And his response was at least 24 hours, and I'm thinking, well, shouldn't I be in the hospital for like a really long time because I'm having a limb removed, and he would just say 24 hours and then we'll see, sort of thing. So I really, I knew a little bit of what to expect, but mostly I didn't know. And I thought I was super prepared because I had been going to therapy for a year and I had connected with a bunch of OI folks and I had asked 1,000,001 questions of every medical person I had access to, even Dr. Rush. I would throw questions at him and see what he thought about things. And he was extremely supportive of this surgery too. And, it came down to it. I live in Topeka, which is about 60 miles from Kansas City, where my surgery was. And so we drove up the night before, my husband and I, and our adult daughter. She came with us, Zoe. And Zoe, she lives on her own, but she sometimes is still really supportive with medical appointments and stuff. Sometimes she can't always, but it's nice that she's there and that she wants to be there. So we went in and, we stayed the night. It was Sunday night. My surgery was Monday morning. And I was supposed to be there at like 5:30 in the morning. And then, of course, they changed it because, there was somebody who was more emergent than me, which, is completely understandable. But I was not happy because I was like, oh, my gosh, could we just get in there and do it, please? And we finally did. And I remember sitting in the hallway and just waiting for them to call me back and thinking, this is it, right? This is it. Like, how do you say goodbye to your leg?
Right.
So, there's really no way to do that. I will tell you, if anyone is wondering, I tried to say goodbye to it, but there's really no way to do that. So I went in and my husband and my daughter and my mom and one of my cousins were at the hospital during my surgery. And I want to say it was about 5 hours long. It was longer than he thought it was going to be. It took longer, but I also had I didn't just have an amputation done. I had 3 separate procedures done in one fell swoop. So I had the amputation and I also had a TMR, which is a targeted muscle reintervention, and I probably didn't pronounce it right, but it's where they take the nerves and the muscles and reconnect them. instead of just kind of cutting them off.
Oh, okay.
And then I also had old hardware taken out of my tibia, and he put a new nail. He nailed it all the way down my tibia to, give it the best chance. And
this is on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Really quickly, that was on. So the rod change, that was in the other leg.
That was in my amputated leg, my residual limb.
Okay. So then really quickly, before you continue, can you just tell us where the actual cut was done? Like how much of your tibia is left to then have a rod in it?
I would say between a half and 3/4 of my tibia is left.
Okay.
But you also have to remember that my tibia is not a regular adult size tibia because of the limb length discrepancy.
Right.
It's the size of a tibia that probably a 10 or 11-year-old kid would have.
Gotcha. Okay.
So there's a significant amount, but not as much as you would want.
Gotcha. Okay, well, that makes sense because I just wasn't sure when you were saying we put a rod into it, then it was like, well, what was left? You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so
it's
good to clear that.
I'm sorry, I didn't clarify beforehand. It's a below the knee amputation.
Yeah. Okay.
So we were middle to lower tibia is where the cut was made.
And so then continue. Then he did the 3 different procedures. Mm-hmm. And it took 5 hours.
I want to say 5 hours, but I sleep.
Yeah. Well, for you, it was about 2 seconds. It was about 2 seconds for you.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. So then you got out of the surgery, and then did you end up staying just the 24 hours, or how did the post-surgery go?
No, I was there. I checked in Monday morning for surgery. I went home on Friday. I did really well, like the first, 18, 24 hours. My mom, I don't really remember, but I guess she came in to see me once they got me to my room. And she said that she had never seen me so alert after surgery before. And Sean, my husband, he said the same thing, which is great. I don't really remember it because, I was all doped up, but whatever they gave me after surgery made me seem very alert. I also knew that because I would be on an insane amount of medications during that time, I knew I wouldn't remember it.
Yeah.
And so I took a lot of pictures.
Oh, good.
With my phone, like pre-surgery, when they have you hooked up and they're doing like the nerve blocks. Mm-hmm. And so the drugs are starting to run through your system. So I went back, I don't know, a few months ago, and I was looking at photos. I had no idea that I had taken half of the pictures that I took. So, but I took selfie with my orthopedist. We took a selfie before surgery,
right?
Just trying to hype it up and make me feel a little more positive. But to go back to where we were talking about my hospital stay, I did really well. Like I said, for about the first 18 hours or so, and then things start to wear off.
Yeah.
And
I was just about to say that's when the good drugs start to go away, and then you start to feel. Right. Yeah, talk a little bit about that. How was that for you?
Well, there was a lot of pain. There was a lot of it was hardcore. Let me just put it like that. The anesthesiologist had to come in multiple times. I want to say the Wednesday I was there, and they had to just keep giving me a bolus of more nerve block because it was so bad. And they had wanted me to go home Thursday, but we were having a hard time getting my pain under control. And there was also a lot of emotional things going on with me. I was really lucky to be able to be in a room by myself, so I didn't have to share it with anyone else. And so I didn't have to hide, whatever my emotions were. Like I could just feel it and get it out. But I had a really hard time just looking at my leg. I guess when I came out of surgery, Sean was trying to kind of adjust my blankets and stuff. And he uncovered my leg, and I was like, absolutely not. I do not want to see it. I do not want to see it. And, that got better as my hospital stay continued. But those first, 48, 72 hours were just super intense.
Yeah.
And I think part of my mistake was assuming that it would be like any other surgery I've had. Any other fracture, any other let's replace hardware sort of surgery. And it's not. It's completely different.
Yeah. Yeah. That totally, that absolutely makes sense. Did you have the feeling there still, that the phantom feels and all that? You still have that?
And the phantom limb pain, that was a big part of the pain that we were trying to get under control. And I was trying to wrap my mind around the fact, I don't understand why it hurts because it's not even there.
Right.
Literally, why do my toes feel like they're burning?
Yeah.
And I don't have them anymore.
Yeah.
But the nerves are still there.
That's right. That's the power of the human body, because we're able to train our nervous system. It's already attached to all the parts, and it gets trained. So it's like, we know we can, you have to work on that. And that's sure I've been part of your post work as well. We'll talk about that, of really retraining that nervous system to understand that, no, you need to think differently now because that part's not there. So, yeah, that's fascinating. It's, that can definitely be a tough thing to go through. Yeah. Especially when you were expecting it to be like the other surgeries where, we just go in, we get a new rod and we're good, and doctor sends us on our way. But yeah, I mean, of course, this was a huge choice. This was a big deal. So of course there's going to be these additional things that you're going through. So once you kind of got through the surgery and, got back home, tell us a little bit more about the recovery process starting from there, both physically and mentally. What were some of the things that you went through physically? And then what were the things that you went through mentally?
So coming home, I was lucky enough to be able to have home health aides for a few weeks, which my insurance covered. And so I'm super grateful for that because, on one hand, Sean did everything he could, right, to care for me, but also he is his own person and has a job and has his own needs and things that he has to take care of, also to keep our household running, So to be able to have a nurse that would come in and just check on me, right? Check my blood pressure, different things, check my wound, because it needed to be checked daily to make sure that it was okay, change the dressing, things like that. So I was really lucky. Like I said earlier, it's not just a regular surgery, and the emotions that you would have that come with just a run-of-the-mill OI surgery. I feel like this was heightened much more. And I just had a really hard time just looking at my leg.
Yeah.
Really. I think I had been home for a couple days and I was on crutches, and I stopped in front of a full length mirror and I just lost it,
Mhm. Yeah.
because I was looking at myself and I'm just like, this is what I wanted to do. Are you kidding me? Like,
Right.
I literally just cut off part of my leg, and I think that's a good thing. So it was hard. It was so hard. And while I'm a year post surgery, and things are different, I wouldn't ever want anybody to think that I went into this choice flippantly, right? This wasn't just I woke up one day and said, okay, sounds like a great deal. No, that's not how it works.
Yeah.
So it was really tough. And because of where my incision was on your tibia, on the front of my tibia, there's not a lot of blood circulating on the front of your tibia. It's just not happening. And so, about 6 weeks, about 6 weeks post op, I had to have another surgery, a revision to clean it up a little bit, because there were a couple spots that were healing, but they were not healing as fast as my orthopedist wanted them to. There was not any sort of infection or anything, but he was worried that, if we kind of hung out and watched it for a while, that could happen. And
Mhm.
so again, I'm really lucky in him that he is so proactive with me. And so we went back in, and I had an outpatient surgery in the middle of June, and he fixed it all up, and no surgery since, knock on wood.
It's
It's
good.
healed.
Yeah, that's awesome. So how long did it take then for you to start the process to go back to Hangar for the prosthetic? How long did that take?
So you have to be fully healed before you can start wearing your prosthesis. And we started the fitting process, the casting, I meant to say, in July.
Okay.
So right before I saw everyone at the conference, I had been casted
Okay.
to receive my first socket.
So that was about 3 months then post surgery to be
Yeah,
kind of healed and ready for the beginning of that process.
right.
Oh, okay. And then, so how long did it take then to actually complete the prosthetic for you? Like your first one that, it was like, okay, this is officially your prosthetic. And then tell us a little bit about, what you chose as far as, because I know there's different types, right? There's different kinds of prosthetics you can get. Like, what did you choose, and how long until you got that?
So I didn't choose the type of prosthetic. That was all my prosthetist, and her name is Brittany McMinn. And she is also an incredible human being, and she's super easy to work with. Um, I have a total surface bearing socket. And I actually just found out like a week or two ago, it's also called a hydrostatic socket,
Whoa.
which I thought those were two different things, but
Okay.
apparently they're the same thing.
Okay. Okay.
So I got my socket at okay, it's a prosthesis. I say socket because the socket is the part that actually fits around
Hmm.
my residual limb, which is my tibia.
Okay.
So I received that at the very end of August of 24. And yeah, and I got to design it. I got to pick the design on it. They said, whatever design or words or whatever you want on it, put them on a t-shirt and bring it in, and we'll make your socket. So I'm a huge Grateful Dead fan. And I now have a space your face socket.
Wow.
Yeah.
That
Well,
is so cool.
my first one was a space your face, and I am actually wearing my second socket now, but it's a newer, updated version, but it's still a deadhead socket.
Nice. That's so cool. But you see, so you did have a choice of something to be able
Yes,
to
yeah, I
to be able
did.
to design it at least, right?
Yep. I got a tie-dyed shirt, and then we got the design put on it, and yeah, it's very much me.
That's fun. That is so much fun. So then when and I remember seeing your kind of posts when you first kind of got up on your feet and started to get back into walking. Let's kind of talk about that. Like, you know, what were you feeling leading up to the experience of like getting back up on your feet and walking?
So I couldn't wait, really. I was like, hurry up and let's do this. Like, why is it taking so long? I was really frustrated with the healing process because to me, it seemed like it was taking forever.
Yeah.
And I wasn't really mobile. I was on crutches, and I could drive and I was able to do all of those things, but I wanted to have my prosthetic and I wanted to learn to walk so I could be as independent as possible. Because as anybody who's been on crutches knows, like, you can't carry things while you're on crutches. It's
That's
hard to
right.
open doors, get in the vehicle, all of those things. So yeah, I started occupational and physical rehabilitation at Ability KC in Kansas City, Missouri. I know I keep saying the same thing over and over, but Ability KC is also super awesome. Like, they knock it out of the park there, is all I have to say. The
Yeah.
things that they do, the compassion that they have, the ability to get with you on your level, whatever your level is. Like, if you're
Mhm.
having a great day, if you're not having a great day, they are right there with you and fighting with you through it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was really lucky. I started that mid October.
And then tell us about, you know, when you finally kind of got up on your feet and, you know, got back up on your feet to move and walk, and, you know, how was that experience and what did it feel like, you know, when you first kind of did that?
It was like, it's really hard to explain what it feels like to put a socket on when you've never worn one. And I didn't know what it was supposed to feel like. And it just felt very strange and uncomfortable. And I didn't want to wear it. I mean, honestly, and it's
Yeah.
like I had waited to get into it. And then once I got it, I was like, I can't do this. Nope, this is not going to work. Now, that obviously didn't last too long, but I have ups and downs. I still have ups and downs. It depends what day it is. But there's more good days than bad, Tony,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
which is not what I had before surgery.
Right.
So just learning to walk. I'm still learning to walk because I'm not totally walking on my own yet. But there were a lot of adjustments in many senses of the word, not only with my prosthesis and the things that had to be changed with it, to just adjusting my point of view, right, and adjusting my emotions and regulating these emotions that I was still having because I didn't quite understand that I was going through grief,
Mm.
right? And I'm
Mm-hmm.
still going through grief. So, yeah, it's been a big adjustment, but I would say that it's probably one of the best decisions I've ever made, and I probably should have done it sooner.
Yeah, you know, I think it's okay to understand that the recovery process is going to take a while. you spent the first 46 years, right? On crutches, using assistive devices. It just getting up onto your feet and walking without anything, it's going to take some time. That's just how the process of change works.
Right.
I went through the same thing when I started walking at 24. The first 24 years of life, I didn't know what that was all about. So I didn't just start walking right away. It took a few years to really get into the groove of understanding. And like you're saying, not only physically what that means for my body, like how do I walk? We have to train our minds to control our body in the right way. But then also all of the emotional stuff too. Not having to hold on to something when you're taking steps. I mean, that was like a huge breakthrough for me, I remember. So, it's going to take time, and it's good that you're continuing the process, the recovery process, and doing the rehab, and, and really understanding, doing the mental work, the mindset work is just as important because...
Yeah, I'm still going to therapy every week, let me tell you. And my therapist, boy, she's a saint, let me tell you. For the things that she hears. But yeah, no, it's I wouldn't have been able to make it through, and I'm not through yet, but to the point that I'm at now, excuse me, without all the resources that I've had. It just it's made a difference. And I mean, I will say, and even with those resources, I still felt alone.
Yeah.
So I can't imagine how someone would feel if they didn't have any of those resources.
Yeah. We really have to pay attention to that and make sure we do our best to find the resources that we need, be open to accepting the help that people want to offer us at times. Because I know a lot of people, a lot of OIers, go through that where they don't have support, but it's almost because they haven't accepted support. And so I think that that's a big piece of it for people to realize and kind of have that breakthrough for themselves. And you've done it. It is definitely hard. And you've done it. I've been able to do it. I know a lot of OIers that do, and they do understand the importance of that. And again, we're all a work in progress, right? We're continuously learning. We're continuously growing no matter what. So it's great. It's great that you're so far along, even a year now post-op, which is great. So what is the goal right now for you? Do you have a goal in mind as far as an actual physical goal? Like, I'm going to walk on my own by this summer?
My first goal was to be walking by Christmas.
Okay.
Last Christmas.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I was wrong about that. But, and that I didn't know where, I was like, oh, I'll just get this prosthetic and, it'll be like wearing my orthotic shoe. I just have to get used to it a little bit and it'll be fine. And that wasn't true because I also didn't take into account like the atrophy, just that my muscles did from surgery up through when I started physical therapy because I wasn't doing anything.
Right.
I mean, I'm sorry, I was healing. So
Absolutely.
let's not act like that's not a big deal. But I wasn't as active as I had been previously. So the goal now is to walk independently. I got my second socket at the end of January, and that's because after you have an amputation, the shape of your limb changes. And especially the first 18 months, the swelling goes down from surgery. The shapes of the muscles change, things like that. So I'm now in my second socket, and I just elevated to what's called a K3 ankle, which is really exciting for me. It is a really mobile type of ankle. It's hydraulic.
Ooh.
And this is probably the level that I'm going to stay at, because a K4 is more for people who are active, like in sports, or they climb mountains, they run
Right, right.
races, and that's never been me. That's not going to be me, and I'm okay with that. So I was just really excited to get my K3 ankle a couple weeks ago, and I'm learning how to walk with it. I was just at Hangar yesterday for another adjustment because there was pain, which I am having on and off. And then we make adjustments, and then there's no pain, and
Right.
then my leg changes, and then we have to make more adjustments. And so it's, kind of a never ending process. But the people that are helping me are really good at what they do, and they listen and they help.
That's
So
so
I
good.
I graduated from physical therapy May 16th, and I've kind of I need to keep exercising.
Well,
And
yes, we're going to talk about that, of course.
right, yeah. So that's my goal. Really, is just to walk independently. Right now, I am using a cane,
Hmm.
um, and just learning to trust my prosthesis, knowing that when I take a step, it's going to be there and I can count on it for every step. Which, with my orthotic shoe lift, I didn't feel like that. I didn't
Yeah.
ever feel like I could trust it. Just simple things like I probably don't have to look at the ground for every single step that I take anymore,
Right.
And
Right.
as an OI person, yes, we're looking at the ground
Yeah.
because you never
All the
know.
time. Right.
Yeah, but like I could take a couple steps and not look at the ground, and just doing that is I'm training myself, because
Yeah.
it's a new deal.
That's big breakthrough stuff right there.
Yeah,
I know exactly that experience. As you get stronger, as and myself and other wires that I've worked with too, that's part of the process, is like understanding where we're looking, how we're stepping, having that confidence to know my leg's going to hold me, taking stairs differently. Like, yeah, that whole thing. Again, it's a process. And I think that, once everyone understands that, then we don't get too harsh on ourselves, as we're going through the process. It's okay to still do this. It's okay to be slower a little bit doing this and that. So,
right. Because we're not. I mean, I've been told multiple times, don't pay attention to. I always take it back to the SWAT team guy, which Hanger, they will uh, introduce one of their patients once in a while, and tell about their story. And one of the guys that they introduced, he was a SWAT team member before he had his accident, and after his accident he is back doing pretty much the same job that he did before. And I'm like, look at me, I can't even walk, you know
right, right.
Yeah, they're reminding me. They're like, Rachel, you were not on the SWAT team before
Exactly.
you.
That's right.
And I'm
That's
like,
right.
oh, okay, I have to remember that. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. We're going into new territory. You're going into a brand new territory that you've never been into before. So it's all a learning process. So you have to give yourself that grace and that time to really learn that stuff from the beginning. So it's
Yeah.
really
Giving
good.
yourself grace is a huge thing. And I think I've also learned a lot about patience over the
Yes.
last year. I thought I
Yes.
had patience, but let me tell you, I have a lot more now.
Yeah, yeah. That's a big one for us OIers to figure out eventually. Patience.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what would you say if you had to break it down and just give us the biggest lesson that you've learned through this experience? What do you think that would be?
Oh gosh. Probably to trust yourself, right? Trust your medical people around you. And sometimes it's okay to take that blind leap.
Yeah.
I mean, it really is. And for me, it was the right thing to do.
Yeah. So what would you say to someone in the OI community, someone that could be watching right now who might be considering this path for themselves, but they're scared or unsure? What words of encouragement would you give to them?
I would say, ask the questions of your medical professionals, which I would assume would be your orthopedist, right? And if they're not giving you the answers that you want, then you can look elsewhere. You can get a second opinion. You can get a third opinion, just like you would for any other issue. That's okay. And I just would say, try to connect with as many people in the community that you can. Try to connect with maybe OI resources, and just like you said earlier, give yourself grace, because this is not an easy thing to do. It's not an easy decision to make. And you also have to take into account that it's not just you, right? It's your family and your loved ones that are close to you, because even though you're the one that's going through the actual surgery and rehabilitation, they're going through it with you. They're watching you go through it. So I think that was part of the deal for me, is that sometimes I forgot that, it was hard on them too.
Yeah, it's everybody's involved. It's not just us. Yeah. I mean, that's great. How do you feel now that this choice and now what you're going through, how will this affect your life with OI? Do you feel you'll be more stable on your feet? Do you feel you probably have less fractures now from falling? Do you feel anything as it pertains specifically to having OI?
So a big one for me is the amount of pain has been cut at least in half. And the medications that I needed to take beforehand, I am taking half, or actually more than half, I guess. I would say 60% less of what I was taking before surgery, which is a big deal for me.
Yeah.
And just before surgery, I didn't really feel like I had any options. I kind of felt like my life was just happening, and I didn't have any control over anything. And I would try to be joyful and participate, but it didn't always feel like I was participating, and I didn't always feel joyful. Like, some of that was just a front. And now I feel like I have so many options, and it's weird at 46 years old, not that my life is starting over, but just that there's so many different possibilities, so many different things that I feel like I can do now.
Yeah.
And I feel better, man. I do. And I want everybody to feel like this.
Yes, absolutely.
I want to share the joy.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm so happy for you. That's what it's about, going through big changes like this, especially when it comes to our bodies and our health. And once we're feeling better, not taking as many medications, getting out more, being able to do things that we couldn't do before. I mean, these are all huge things that as OIers, we got to take into consideration and look for ways to bring that into our life. So I'm so happy that you're on this side now, right? Where it's like, let's get out there and do it.
So I'm super psyched. I'm like doing all this gardening stuff now, and making plans for the summer. I'm a big live music person. So I've got a couple trips planned for this summer. My husband told me to stop buying concert tickets.
Nice.
He's like, I think that's enough for this summer. I'm like, okay, all right. You'll see, when you see my posts and you see all the things we're doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I
I
can't
kind of
wait.
packed them all in here. So,
Hey, you got to do what you got to do. Love a good
yeah.
live music show.
Yeah.
That's so good. Well, we definitely, you've talked about all your doctors. I'm going to have a link to Hangar and to your doc. If we get I don't know if we can get his link, but Ability KC, we're going to put all that into the show notes so everyone can really, if you need resources right now, if you're in the KC area or if you're not, I mean, just reach out because you never know where you live. Maybe Ability KC can find or refer someone that's in your town, that's near you.
Doctors can collaborate because we have this wonderful magical thing called the internet now.
Exactly.
Yeah, so they can collaborate from afar.
That's right. So, we'll put the links in there. I'll also put your Instagram information. So if anybody would like to connect with Rachael and, learn more or ask her questions, if you have any other questions that we didn't cover here, then you can reach out to her on Instagram and that'll be in the show notes as well. I'm just so excited and happy. I really thank you for being here and being part of being in the spotlight, in the OILife spotlight, because this is an important story that I felt needed to be told. We don't have a lot of resources out there for us as OIers, so it's great that, we're able to provide this space and have you share your story and just everything that you went through with this. It's really important. So I think I have a couple more questions. Number one, is there anything else that you'd like to say to our OILife audience before we wrap up?
Well, OILife audience, you guys should come to our monthly meetings with Tony because they are fun and super uplifting and you'll make new friends.
Absolutely. And you can find out about that if you go to myoilife.com. You just go to myoilife.com and you can get all that information to join us. It's on the third Wednesday of every month, OILife group. And I guess my final question is, I want to know, did you finally say goodbye to your leg?
Yeah. Are you trying to really make me cry at the end of the... Yeah, I think I have. I took pictures of it before I went into surgery. I took pictures of my feet together, so I have that. But I also think every day I'm still saying goodbye to it in my own way and sort of, paying testament to it for how hard it worked for me for the first 46 years of my life, right? Everything that it got me through, for how strong that it was, how strong my lower tib, fib, ankle, and foot were, and how brave it was. And I know that people who don't have OI may not understand me saying that about the bravery, but it's a part of my body and I'm brave. Right. Yeah. And every day I think I am saying goodbye to it more and more. And gosh, I'm so grateful for how hard it worked for me for the first 46 years of my life.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're absolutely right. You're very brave for going through what you've gone through. And, even by choice, it's definitely a brave choice that you made. You're having a spectacular recovery. We're going to see you walking and running and jumping. We don't know what you're going to get into. You never know.
There's some videos of me walking on my Instagram. You should check them out.
Yeah, so it's going to be really cool. So everyone, go connect with Rachael. Thank you so much for being here and spending this time. And it's just been so great to have you here in the OILife Spotlight.
Thanks, Tony. I really appreciate you and your friendship.
Thank you so much for sharing your story with us today, Rachael. Your courage and openness are exactly what the OILife Spotlight is all about. I know this conversation is going to help someone out there feel less alone and really more seen. So if you're watching and you're going through something similar or facing any big decision related to your health or mobility, know this: you are not alone. There are others who've taken this path, and there's a whole community here to support you. Again, I am Tony Jacobson, and if you want to get more connected, be part of the community, or just learn more about thriving with osteogenesis imperfecta, head over to myoilife.com. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel, and until next time, get out there and keep breaking barriers, not bones. Peace.